Planning, Zoning, and Historical Committee for Tuesday, November 19th. And the chair detects a quorum, although it's kind of hard to count y'all sometimes when you're wiggling around. Council Lady Stiles, if you will join me up here in the well. And we are going to get started. So I apologize for the late consent calendar. I did not get that until yesterday. And so once again, I'm going to move slowly through it. And if you need a copy, do we have any extra copies, Matthew, of the calendar? Okay. So I will, if I could request that in the future we have like 5 extra copies printed, but if the committee, if y'all would like to have an agenda printed, you need to print it or bring it on your laptop. I'll go slow. So, do you need a pen? I'm like, there's gonna be something in here. Alrighty, so we're gonna start with the consent calendar. So we have item number 5, resolution RS 2019-104. Item number 6, RS 2019-105. I'm going to read these and then we'll go back and see if there's, well, I guess I'll go ahead and read them into the, I'll wait because we're missing some sponsors. Okay, so has anybody seen Freddie O'Connell? Not yet. Okay, we'll see if he's not, we'll go through the consent calendar and then take it from there. Item number 7, RS 2019-106 is on for the proposed consent calendar. Item number 9, resolution RS 2019-108, proposed for consent. Danielle, if there is Freddie O'Connell, we need him. Item number 10, resolution RS 2019-109. It's on the consent calendar right now. Item number 12, BL 2019-51 is on the consent calendar, and we have a letter to approve, so it will stay unless someone bumps it. Item number 15, BL 2019-54 is on the consent calendar, if we can locate Freddie. Item number 16, BL 2019-55. Items on third reading. Item number 22, BL 2019-22 is on consent, and we have a sponsor. So that will stay on consent unless someone bumps it. Item number 22, BL 2019-23. It is on consent. We don't have a sponsor. We do not have a letter. So that will be coming off consent if we don't have a sponsor by the end of this. BL 2019-25 is on consent. BL 2019-27 is on consent. Item number 27, BL 2019-28 is on consent. BL 2019-29, which is the final item on our agenda, is on consent. So I'm going to run through those again now that we've got a little bit more sponsor actions going on. So here is the consent calendar. Number 5, resolution 2019-104, O'Connell, Murphy, Henderson. A resolution authorizing Unico 1 Nashville Place LLC to construct and install an aerial encroachment at 158 4th Avenue North. Staying on consent. Number 6, resolution RS 2019-105, O'Connell, Murphy, Henderson, a resolution authorizing L Flats LLC to construct and install an aerial encroachment at 1125 10th Avenue North. Number 7, resolution 2019-106, O'Connell, Murphy, and Henderson authorizes H.G. Hill Realty Company to construct and install an aerial encroachment at 1925 Broadway. Item number 9, Resolution 2019-108, O'Connell, Murphy, Henderson, authorizes Oliver McMillan Spectrum Emery LLC to construct and install an aerial encroachment at 5002 Broadway. Item number 10, RS 2019-109, O'Connell, Murphy, Henderson, authorizes Small Direct Club LLC to construct and install an aerial encroachment at 414 Union Street. Number 12 on bills on second reading, BL 2019-51, Mendez, Roberts, and others, approves the transfer of the franchise rights held by the Access Fiber Group Incorporated to Crown Castle Fiber. We have a letter to approve that, and it is on consent. Item number 15, BL 2019-54, abandoned, O'Connell, Murphy, Henderson, abandons existing easement rights for former alley 140 and a half, former alley 141 and a half, and former alley 142, located at 629 and 635 7th Avenue South. So on consent. So number 16 on your agenda, BL 2019-55 by Murphy and Henderson, abandons existing sanitary sewer mains, sanitary sewer manholes, and easements for property located at 5001 Charlotte Avenue. Going to the bills on third reading, we are on number 21, BL 2019-22 by Toombs, changes 5 acres from IR to MUG zoning for property located at 365 Great Circle Road at the northern terminus of Athens Way. We have Kevin Roden, so item number 22 will be back on the consent agenda. BL 2019-23 changes 2.13 acres, a portion of a commercial planned unit development overlay district for properties located at 4021 and 4033 Mills Road, Zone CL, to permit a hotel. It's on consent because we have a sponsor. BL 2019-25 by Roberts amends 11.33 acres, a portion of a specific plan for properties located at the 54th Avenue North unnumbered at the current terminus of 54th Avenue North to permit up to 361 multifamily units and allow a maximum of 4 stories in Zone 1 and Zone 2. We have a letter to approve, and it is on consent. Item number 23, I'm sorry, I skipped it. BL 2019-24 by Van Rees amends 4.18 acres, a specific plan for a portion of property located at 204 Ben Allen Road, approximately 190 feet east of Morningside Drive, Zone SP, to permit 19 multifamily residential units. Thank you, Council Lady Van Rees. I'm sorry I missed that. Item number 26, BL 2019-27 by Roberts, changes 6.15 acres from IR to SP zoning for properties located at 5800 Centennial Boulevard and 1720 61st Avenue North to permit up to 300 multifamily residential units. It's on consent, and we have a letter to approve. Item number 27, BL 2019-28 by Mendez, changes 1.42 acres from R6 to RM15A zoning for property located at 807 and 811 Watts Lane. There's a letter to approve, and it is on consent. Our final bill on the consent calendar is item number 28, BL 2019-29 by O'Connell, changes 1.31 acres from CS to R6 and R6 to MULA zoning for the properties located at 506 and 508 5th Street and 1708 Pearl Street. Is there anything that needs to be bumped from consent? See none. Do I have a motion on the consent calendar? Hearing a motion and a second. All in favor? Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you. The consent calendar passes. Headed back to Resolution RS 2019-85 by Vercher and Porterfield, requests the Metro Planning Commission and the Metro Planning Department to amend the adopted subdivision regulations of the metropolitan government to prohibit the creation of new private streets and require all new streets created as part of the subdivision platting process to be in the public right-of-way. Do I have a motion on the bill? I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a second. Any discussion? Councilman O'Connell, I see you trying to push your button, but you didn't push. Okay. You're not coming up, but okay, you should be on.
So the last meeting, I asked about the purpose of the bill, and I'm still not clear as to why we're asking the Planning Commission to do this. So if I can get some explanation, that'd be great.
Great, thank you. And I will, before I go to the sponsor of the bill, I have asked that Public Works be ready to answer some questions as well. So Council Lady Vercher, I will go to you, and then Public Works, if y'all can be prepared after Council Lady Vercher speaks. And then we can come back to you, Council Lady Toombs.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. The purpose of this resolution is because as a body, we don't have the authority to sponsor this in ordinance because the state regulates a lot of the subdivision regulations that we adhere to as a city. So this is a request to the Planning Commission to not allow the creation of private streets and to require that all streets created as part of the subdivision platting process to be public right-of-ways. This is a simple resolution to simply put, private streets get no services. They receive no services. So as a body, when we're envisioning and outlining bike lanes and sidewalks and talking about infrastructure, there's many neighborhoods that don't receive these services. More importantly, as we contemplate in the future, near future, property tax increase, again, these neighbors, they will pay that increase, but that increase will not go towards servicing their streets. There is a process for that, but it is an exorbitant process for many neighbors. Many neighbors aren't able to come up with on a whim, for one street in particular that I'm aware of, $50,000 for them to bring the street up to Metro Code for us to be able to adopt the roadway. And the chair has stated she has asked Public Works to be here, so I would defer that additional, any additional questions as it relates to that process to that department. But to simply put it, private streets get no services.
Thank you, Council Lady. So I asked the Planning Commission to be here. The Public Works Department to be here because I had concerns about this legislation. Basically, we know that a lot of developments are put together, and sometimes costs are cut here or there by the developer. And so when someone is buying into one of these developments that has a private road.
It's not disclosed and they aren't aware.
Thank you, Council Lady. So my concern is that I would like to know why it's not being disclosed. How is that legal to not disclose that? And Public Works, you might not be able to answer that, I understand. So I can maybe rely on one of the realtors in the room or attorneys. And so Public Works, if you could, if I know that y'all might not be totally prepared for this tonight, but do you have any estimate of how many private streets there are in Davidson County now? Oh, wait, I'm sorry, I didn't turn you on. See if that's you.
Yes, I don't personally have an estimate, but we can get something for you all.
Okay, so y'all could estimate the existing number of streets out there?
To be honest, we'd probably have to get that from planning because they are not streets we maintain. We don't keep track of them.
Okay, so what I would like, and this is why I kind of asked this question last meeting and have kind of had some back and forth with the council office to attempt to get this, because I know it's going to be some sort of estimation. I'm not looking for an exact number. What I would like to see is the is an estimated number of properties that are out, like streets that are out there now, how often these developments are being, you should be on, how often these developments are still being proposed. And then Public Works to estimate from there what the maintenance cost would be.
So you're looking for, I just want to make sure for clarification, you're looking for private streets created by subdivisions, correct?
I'm sorry, say that
You're
again.
looking for private streets created by subdivision plats.
Right. Council Lady Stiles.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Council Lady Vercher, may I ask you a question? In regards to this resolution, is this pertaining to subdivisions that are having issues in terms of trash collection because they have private alleys and such in the back, and so now it's becoming, someone's going to need to get a dumpster extra? Okay. And the extra cost for that?
So thank you so much. I guess you're Vice Chair Stiles. So again, I just go back to, this is really a simple resolution. For those private streets that's already in existence, we can't correct that. This is moving forward. You have several in your district, and I know you're feeling the pain with that. And we have, maybe three months ago, another subdivision was just approved for some private streets over in District 29. Again, we can't do anything regarding the current existing streets. That would just be the burden for those neighbors, and hopefully the realtors and the developers will disclose that. But I can tell you with confidence, in all my meetings with developers and with neighbors and with realtors and from attending their association meetings and so forth, we do know that not all realtors disclose everything. Case in point, not all realtors disclose that when neighbors buy into subdivisions that there's HOAs, something as simple as that. This is just making a request because we can't, again, subdivision laws are governed by the state. This is asking the Planning Commission, as it relates to the subdivision platting process, to not allow these private streets to be created. Just fundamentally, right? It's not a balance for us to say we're championing mobility in the city, we're championing sidewalks, bike lanes in the city, but if I'm on a private street, I pay my taxes, I'm subjected to the stormwater increases, the water rate increases, the property tax increases, but those things I do not get. So services, the entire gamut of services. Back in 2010, just to give you some historical information, back in 2010, in District 1, there was an 8-inch main that impacted 20 homes. Those neighbors could not leave their street, and the city told them, ultimately, they ended up having to come up with the money to fix it.
Thank you, Council Lady. Attorney Cooper, if you could, two questions that hopefully you'll be able to answer. One, what is I was going to call on our attorney and realtor friends in the crowd, but maybe I'll put you on the spot first. What is the legal, I'm sorry?
I may not know, but I'll try.
Right, so what is the legal requirement of notice that when I'm buying a house, that the house is on a private street? And then secondly, and this might be more of under Lisa's purview, is if the Planning Commission on subdivisions, if a subdivision has applied and they meet all of the standards under the Tennessee Code Annotated, can the Planning Commission turn it down because it's private streets, even though it meets all the criteria under the state law?
So on the first question, the disclosures would be governed by state law, and since that's not a local thing, I'm not familiar with those. I can look those up, but I don't know them. I haven't researched that before. As to whether the subdivision could be denied, I think if they meet the requirements in the subdivision regulations, then there isn't as much flexibility planning can probably speak to that better than I can, but if they, so if this was a requirement in the subdivision regulations, or a prohibition in the subdivision regulations, then there wouldn't be much flexibility there.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to go to Councilman Roden, Council Lady Benedict, and then Lisa, I want to come back to you about if it meets all the other subdivision regulations, if it can be denied based on private, public road situations. Councilman Roden.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for taking me up. I was just going to make note that I had recently, in the last year before, we approved a 500-home development in Hermitage in my district to where it is a 55 or over gated community, and the roads are private. Obviously, they're private because it's gated, and that's part of the selling point is that this is a 55 and over, and they want things to be private within their neighborhood. What I did require them to do, though, was to make the sidewalks public. I know we had some issues with that at first because they're saying, well, I don't know if we can do this or not, but we ended up making the sidewalks public. So the roads are actually private, but the sidewalks are public so people can still walk on them and ride their bikes through, but they can't drive their cars through the senior development. So that was one of the things we did. Also, I have a lot of areas out in my district to where large tracts of land were divided by 10, and then an easement was put down the middle. And I know Lisa knows about this too. I have several roads out there to which it's an easement. It is not a public road. It's an easement, and to be able to get access on that road for Metro, you actually have to get all 20 property owners out there to actually say, yes, we'll let them turn this into a public right-of-way, which a lot of them don't want because they own 5-acre tracts and they don't want it to be that way. So that's why I think the state actually regulates this area. It's much more complicated than just one certain, there's so many different variations on how this could actually happen that, you might want to take a step back and think about what's going on here. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. I remember a lot of discussion on that exact development and this issue being discussed last term. Council Lady Benedict.
Thank you, Chair. So I think it's important to clarify the role as a realtor in the room. I think you called out as the realtors in the room.
Sorry, if I
Right
know your
on.
profession, it's going to happen.
Right. I think just like any other profession, whether that be an attorney, a doctor, some are better than others. Under state law and under the code of ethics of realtors in the state, again, this does not have anything to do with this body, but under those two pieces, every realtor is required to disclose and share information with their client. As it relates to them reading every single line of that information, it is up to the consumer. So I want to make sure that we're clear on that as it relates to how the streets are maintained, either as a private or a public right-of-way. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Lady. Lisa Milligan with Planning, you should be on.
Where is she?
You should be on? Yes. I heard you. Oh, if you could address, have y'all had this come up before? Do you know the code a little bit? Not better than Attorney Cooper, but so if a subdivision comes to the Planning Commission, it meets all the other requirements, under state law, we are obligated to approve it. If it meets everything, could we deny it based on public or private roads?
So the current the subdivision regulations as currently adopted, and the ones that are applied to subdivisions within Metro Nashville, allow for the creation of private streets within certain limited instances. If they are within a PUD or an SP, so it's not open-ended that you could have private streets everywhere. It's in limited circumstances. One of the situations that Councilman Roten actually brought up is that within some of the rural policy areas, you can have private roads if they're not serving more than 10 lots. Because of seeking a certain development pattern. Now, private streets, as permitted by the subdivision regulations, do have to be built to the Metro standard. And so if sidewalks are required, then they would still be required. There is language in there also requiring for instance, if it's in a PUD, that there be a maintenance agreement within the HOA. But they do have to be built to city standards, even if they are private with sidewalks if required. So right now, they're permitted by the subdivision regulations. I think this would be a request for us to actually amend the subdivision regulations. And so if the subdivision regulations were amended to say you couldn't do private drives, then I just don't think that we could consider subdivisions in that manner.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. Vice Chair Stiles.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to put a motion on the floor to defer so we could get some more information in regards to this and make a solid decision.
So to defer for one meeting?
Yes, please.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Any abstentions? The resolution is deferred one meeting. Resolution number 2 on your agenda, Resolution RS 2019-101 by Murphy and Henderson. Approves an intergovernmental agreement between the Tennessee Department of Transportation and the Metro Public Works for a signal agreement for West Trinity Lane, State Route 65 from Dickerson Pike, State Route 11 to west of Hamilton Road. Do I have a motion? I have a motion and I have a second. Does anyone know that with the council district that this is in? You did sign on? Thank you, Councilman Parker, for acknowledging our committee rule that we would like district council people on these things. Or at least one of y'all. I mean, it's going to be more, it could be more than one. Yeah, you can sign on too. I just think I have to sign on as a committee chair, and I don't want to go around passing stuff without some district council member on it. So with that, I have a motion, I have a second. Hearing no more discussion, all in favor? Any abstentions? Any against? Hearing none, passes. So, Resolution RS 2019-102 by Murphy and Henderson approves an intergovernmental agreement between the Tennessee Department of Transportation and the Metropolitan Public Works for signalization maintenance or signal maintenance on Brick Church Pike from log mile 2.168 to log mile 2.340. Do we know if this is in anybody's council district? Okay. Are you willing to go sign on to it? Thank you. I will also note that the last resolution, this resolution, the next resolution, also have vague, if any, fiscal notes. And I'm going to ask that in the coming meetings, even though we have a district council member on there, that we start deferring them at least one meeting so we can get an estimate of the cost of these things. It may be in the positive for us, it may be in the negative. Either way, I think we need to hear it. I had a motion, I heard a second. With no more discussion, all in favor? Thank you. Any against? Any abstention? It passes. And Council Lady, if you will please sign on. Resolution RS 2019-103 Murphy and Henderson approves an intergovernmental agreement between TDOT and Metro Public Works for the acceptance of a general maintenance agreement in connection with emergency slide repairs near mile marker 42, log mile 10.1, February 2019 flood. Don't know what that means. On I-24. Do we have a council member for this district? Sound familiar for anyone? All right, if I've got a motion on the bill and a second, then I'm going to move to defer one meeting. Any, all in favor? Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you. Number 5, 6, 7 on your agenda is on the passed on consent. So we are now at Resolution RS 2019-107 Murphy and Henderson. This authorizes J. Crew Group Incorporated to construct and install an aerial encroachment at 2709 12th Avenue South. Councilman Cash, is this your district? Fabulous, thank you. Although for J. Crew, I was willing to take this one for you. Thank you so much. I've got a motion, I have a second. All in favor? Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you. Number 9 and 10 were on consent, so now we're on bills on second reading. BL 2019-50 by Murphy authorizes the Director of Public Property or his designee to transfer to Bonnie Small, Administrator of the Estate of Sylvia Rose Barish, via the attached quitclaim deeds, any remaining interest that Metro may have on certain parcels of property located at 265 White Bridge Road, 262 White Bridge Pike, and 5540 Woodmont Circle. And I have heard nothing about this from anybody. I asked a few questions before it went to planning, still have gotten nothing, so I'm going to move to defer this for 2 meetings. I hear a second. All in favor? Any against? Any abstentions? That is deferred 2 meetings. Item number 12 on your calendar was on consent. Item number 13, 2019-52, Murphy, Henderson, O'Connell, amends the Geographic Information Systems Streets and Alley Centerline layer for the Metro government by changing the name of a portion of Spencer Avenue to Foundry Drive. It sounds like Councillady Roberts has signed on to the bill because it's her district. Lord knows I'm not going to rename anything in your district without you. Councillady Van Rees, maybe. I have a motion. I have a second. All in favor? Any against? Hearing no abstentions. Your street is renamed. Well, later it will be. All right, number 14 on your calendar, BL 2019-53, Syracuse, Mendez, and others. Authorizes the acquisition of certain right-of-way easements, drainage easement, temporary construction easements, and property rights by negotiation or condemnation for purposes of Public Works Department project Lebanon Pike sidewalk improvements. Do I have a motion on the bill? Hearing a motion, I have a second. We have a letter to approve, and it appears that Public Works has left the room. I had questions because surely this has a fiscal note, and there was no fiscal note in our analysis. Councilman Syracuse, are you aware of a fiscal note on this bill? Has it been presented to you?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This was a grant through federal dollars to TDOT because this is a state route project. The money is already in the bank, and we are simply now at the part of the right-of-way acquisition. So there's not a fiscal note on this bill per se because it's already a paid-for project. Does that help?
It does help. There is a cost. There is a fiscal note that there is federal grant money, and that is Attorney Cooper. That is what I'm looking for in our council analysis. Is clearly there is some sort of fiscal information out there, and we are not receiving that as a body as we're approving it. So I have a letter to approve. I have a motion. I have a second. All in favor? Any against? Any abstentions? Your bill passes. But committee, that's an example of where clearly there is information out there about fiscal costs, and it is not being presented to this body as we are, even if it's passed through money, we need to be more aware and responsible of this. Item number 15 and 16 is on consent. Item number 17, BL 2019-53, Syracuse, Murphy, Henderson. Abandons existing sewer easement main, sanitary sewer manholes and easements, and to accept new public water and sanitary sewer mains, sanitary sewer manholes, fire hydrant assemblies, and easements for 54 properties located at Donaldson Hills Drive, Lebanon Pike, and Mill Creek Meadow. I did not put this on consent because of the same reason. There is a lack of any fiscal information, but surely there is some sort of positive or negative net gain here. Do I have a motion on the bill? Hearing a motion and a second. All in favor? Any against? Any abstentions? Bill passes. Okay, remind me at the end and we'll come back to it to rescind our actions. Okay. BL 2019-57, Sledge, Murphy, and others, abandons existing public water and sanitary sewer mains and easements to raise existing sanitary sewer manhole rims and to accept new water and sanitary sewer mains, fire hydrants, assemblies, sanitary sewer manholes, easements for the property located at 1501 Hillside Avenue. Again, I did not put this on consent for the similar reason to the bills we just passed, that there is little to no fiscal information on this. But there is a letter to approve from Councilman Sledge. Do we have a motion? Hearing a motion and a second. All in favor? Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you. We are on bills on third reading. Number 19, BL 2019-3, Syracuse, Murphy, and others. Amends Metro Codes, Chapter 5.20 and 17.40, authorizing the Metro government to come under the provisions of the Tennessee Code annotated Section 67-5218 and establishing a historic property review board empowered to abate property taxes relating to certain improvements or restorations made to historic properties. Councilman Syracuse.
I'm not on the committee, so I can't move it.
But I think was your intention to move or to defer tonight?
I am going to defer 2 meetings, please.
Thank you. So motion is, I make the motion to defer 2 meetings. I heard a second. All in favor? Any against? Any abstentions? Okay, item number 20, BL 2019-6. Councilman Parker, will you step out and see if Council Lady Henderson is in committee or available, and we're going to roll that to the heel. So if you'll just, or I'm going to roll that down 3 spots. If you can just hold on to it. Item number 21 is on consent. Item number 22 passed on consent. 23 passed on consent. 24 passed on consent. We're at BL 2019-26 by Hager. Changes 4.37 acres from MUN to SP zoning for a property located at 101 Pitts Avenue and Pitts Avenue unnumbered at the corner of Pitts Avenue and Old Hickory Boulevard to permit self-service storage use. Do I have a motion? And a second? Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Any against? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Yes, so we're going to go back to, can you tell me the number? Number 4. We're going to go back to number 4 on the calendar. Resolution RS 2019-103. We move to defer this, but Council Lady Gamble has signed on to the bill. And so I'm going to make a motion to rescind our previous actions. If I have a second, hearing a second, all in favor of rescinding our motion? Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you. So with that, I now will entertain a motion to move it forward for approval. Hearing the motion, a second. All in favor? Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you.
I signed on to 6.
Okay, cool. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Perfect. All right. So we are now going to. Thank you. Thank you. Perfect. Okay. All right. We've got one more bill. Pay attention with me, people. There's candy on my desk if you need it. We are on bills on third reading. Item number 20, BL 2019-6 by Henderson and Parker. Amends Title 17 of the Metro Code of Laws regarding the waiting period revocation of a short-term rental property permit. And Councilman, clarify for me if you would, if y'all are wanting the proposed substitute to go on and then defer, or if you would just like to defer the bill.
I think we'll just defer.
Okay. So the motion is to defer for one
meeting, yes.
One meeting. I hear a second. All in favor? Any against? And I don't think we have any abstentions on this committee. So that is it, and the end of our motion to adjourn our committee. Thank you.